Hi, welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel. I'm Zeleny. As the title suggests, today I will be reviewing every Netflix teen movie that exists. Let me switch up the branding real quick to make it more Netflix vibes. Here we are. So I think I've watched every single Netflix movie for this video. I have been watching them throughout the last few years when they've become popular, but Netflix has been releasing so many that I may have missed some. So just comment below if you notice I missed any Netflix teen movies. These are generally comedies. These are generally take place in high school and have teen protagonists. A lot of them have like a TV feel. I'm a big fan of them, but I mostly love to criticize them. So I wanted to start off with my grading scale here. I'll be reviewing 13 Netflix movies today. It's a little hard for me to come up with a grading scale for these because they are all kind of bad, and that is part of why I like them. So I don't hate that they're bad, but there's a lot to criticize. So I try to come up with like a grading scale that would fit like most people's taste. So here it is. A movie with a grade of A is one I would recommend watching it to like a friend. So a B is one I could recommend, but with a disclaimer of like, okay, it's not great. It has some issues that I can't look past enough to make it an A. So a C is if you like teen movies, you can watch it and probably have an okay time, but you probably won't remember much about it. Like, these are the ones where I couldn't really remember the plot. It wasn't so bad that I hate it and love to criticize it, but it wasn't good enough to be memorable in many ways. So a D might be like my favorite category of teen movie. So by a regular person's standards, a D is a movie that's really, really bad, and probably they wouldn't want to watch. The D's are the ones that are really fun to criticize. They have all kinds of messiness. So if you're into watching things to criticize, the D category, even though it's a bad grade, it might be a good option for you. And an F is is it was a waste of time. So I wanted to start off with some general trends I noticed with all of these Netflix teen movies. Generally, they love Noah Centineo. He stars in 4 movies out of the 13 on this list, and that is too much for my liking. I've hated him ever since that moment where he was like,
So I went on Ancestry.com like years ago. I was like, because they were like, it's better if you can market yourself as like Latino. A couple grandparents up, there's like Puerto Rican blood. But I was like, damn it, this is where my results went. So I was like, yeah, I'm Puerto Rican.
so he just annoys me ever since I saw that clip. I'm over him in these movies. I don't think he's that cute. I don't think he's that charming. Like, I'm over him. Netflix movies also love doing these voiceover narration intros, which I kind of live for. It's very like that TikTok that's like,
Hi, I'm Ryan, and my life, it's kind of crazy.
it's like that voiceover thing that's just overly cheesy and they like tell their life story and stuff. Okay, so there's a big issue that I notice in these movies. So many of them, like 50% at least, have the complex white protagonist characters, and then they often have a comic relief character that's non-white. Like, really, all of these movies do that, and it's just like I really appreciate that I've been exposed to these non-white actors and they've done good work and they've gotten work, but like I just wish these characters were more fleshed out from a writing standpoint. They often are just very one-dimensional, just very comedic. Like you don't get any nuance to them, and I do think that's a flaw in like, character development and just like adding diversity without like adding multi-dimensional characters. And the white characters are always so like, they have all these aspects to them, but like I noticed a lot of these best friend characters, they just don't have much of that, and it's like kind of annoying. So another thing teen movies love, and it's been a teen movie problem since the beginning of time, not just Netflix, but they always cast old. I've actually enjoyed this more recently just because like I'm kind of uncomfortable in these teen movies as an adult, like how much like sex these teens are having or drugs and things like that. So it kind of makes me feel better that at least I know the actor is like older than I am. So at least I don't feel like that uncomfortable about it. But it's just also like kind of annoying that it's like they look like grown adults, they look like older than me, and it just kind of takes you out of the fantasy. Just another classic teen movie trope, not just Netflix, but having a sassy younger sibling. I've noticed Netflix movies tend more towards the little sister sister route, while back in my day, the teen movies were more about the annoying little brother. Oh my god. So this isn't that common in these movies, but like they often show senior homes like super glamorous, and I'm just like, or volunteering events, and it's too much for me. Okay, Netflix movies, and I think modern movies really love doing the colored lighting thing, and I appreciate it myself too. Okay, and this is a big plot point that Netflix movies rely on. They rely on that trope of the protagonist has to do something crazy to get into college, and that makes sense as like a thing to get your protagonist out of a comfort zone or whatever, but like think of something else. Okay, let's start with the first movie, starting off with a bang, The Kissing Booth. I think a lot of people have heard of it.
When teenager Elle's first kiss leads to a forbidden romance with the hottest boy in school, she risks her relationship with her best friend.
Okay, so let's start off with the good about The Kissing Booth. Uh, so it's really fun to criticize, like, what the hell is going on in this photo? It's a bad one. I mean, not to jump ahead, but there's just a lot of stupid stuff that happens that is just like fun to criticize if you are into that. Okay, so there's a big plot point in The Kissing Booth, and that is that the main characters play this Dance Revolution. They don't call it that, but it's the same thing. It's a pretty essential part of the plot, and it's just like crazy because it's a very old school 2000s game, and it's just weird to see people playing it, in 2018. So this movie breaks like a trope. They show a nice platonic friendship of best friendship. Like it breaks the in love with my best friend sort of cliche that we've been accustomed to. Okay. So Molly Ringwald still does teen movies. I guess not that surprising. She was in Secret Life of the American Teenager, and she played a mom there too, and she was pregnant. That show was crazy. Let's move on to the bad about The Kissing Booth, which is kind of extensive, but I try to sum it up. So, I think the biggest one, and most people are aware, is that it has an incredibly toxic message. Like, your teen, if you're a parent, your teen should not be watching this movie. It is so bad. The main love interest is like super violent, and it really sets up that like the girl, what's her name, Elle, she can change him and make him less violent, which is like crazy because you know that's not how it works. It's toxic, and you should not teach young girls that. Also, like this is a plot point at the beginning of the movie that like she is out of skirts to use for her uniform, so she has to use an old one, and it's really short. I don't remember in the movie seeing like her actual ass like in this photo. Like they don't show it. They just, allude that her ass is showing in the back. But this screenshot I found, like it literally shows her ass just out there, and that is just disgusting. I'm sorry. Okay, so this was a personal annoyance of mine, but I really think the main character looks like Logan Paul. Let me know if you disagree. I don't think I've hear people say that. I think it might be just a me thing, but like he just has that douchey look that is just not appealing to me. Also, the height difference of him and Joey King, who is the girl, like it is astronomical, and it's distracting honestly, and I think it's a fault of casting. Okay, so call me a prude, but these teens are having a lot of sex, and I'm just like, where are the parents? Classic white people stuff, I guess. It's just like parents don't care, they let them do whatever. I think the main issue is in the title itself, and it is about kissing booths, which, like, what even are kissing booths, first of all? Like, I have never in my life seen one in real life because they're disgusting. Like, they're disgusting. Like, why? Like, the liabilities, the consent issue, the germs issue. Like, I think it's just a movie thing because it's like, oh, you get your characters to kiss, but it's quite disgusting, and especially in the age of Corona, like, forget it. So my overall grade for The Kissing Booth is a D. Oh, I'm gonna be giving like replacements or like things to watch instead that I would recommend. This one I didn't really have anything that is that messy, but like it reminds me of like the toxicity you see in MTV reality shows. I like Are You the One, but there's plenty out there to choose from. Next one is the sequel to The Kissing Booth, The Kissing Booth 2. No fun subtitle name. What a disappointment.
With college decisions looming, Elle juggles her long distance romance with Noah. changing relationship with bestie Lee, and feelings for a new classmate.
So, The Kissing Booth 2, let's start with the good about it. It is less toxic than the first one. Like, they really, I think, heard everyone's criticisms and toned down the douchey guy. I don't know his name, but the douchey Logan Paul guy. Oh my god! So this is the only scene worth watching in this movie. But like, they go to this Dance Dance Revolution. Remember from the first one? It's an important plot point. They go to this Dance Dance Revolution competition in this one, and like, it is treated as this extreme sport. Like, look at, there is fire, there are lights, there is a stadium arena full of people. I really wish I could live in this universe where that is sports. There is a hot new love interest in this one, and he's really gorgeous, so that was a good thing. But the issue, again, with these movies too, the protagonist will never choose him because he's not the Logan Paul guy from the first movie. Like, that's the issue with these sequels. None of them are very good to me. Well, I guess we'll get to that. Let's get to the bad. I think the main gripe of most fans, even, is the runtime. It is 2 hours and 12 minutes. It is so long, and the plot is friggin' unmemorable to boot. Like, there's like this girl that's in the whole movie, this new character, and it really makes no sense, like, why she's there. Then there's the whole plot of like the best friend treating his girlfriend horribly, which is his own issue. Like, these plots didn't make much sense. Again, they have another kissing booth in this one because it's in the title. I guess they have to do it, and it's still disgusting. Especially in 2020. This movie was released in 2020 post corona, but obviously they made it way before that. But like, now it's like, no doubt this is a disgusting activity to do for a fundraiser. And again, the bad 2 hours and 12 minutes of nothing. Like, I was pissed off. I was mad. I Netflix partied it with my friends, and it was just like, we could not believe it was not ending. The plot was just like going, you know, nowhere, just going around in circles. Like, there was just nothing memorable about it, and except for the DDR competition, sure. And because of that, I'll give it an F. It's really not worth the amount of time it takes to watch this. Nothing really happens. I I think this is a sequel issue that I've been having with movies lately, or follow-ups to things that are very beloved. They never want to mess with the romance that people fell in love with in the first movie, even though it was freaking toxic. Some suitable replacements for this one, I would say the sequel to All the Boys. It has a similar plot, but is a little cuter. I don't really super recommend it, but we will get to that one. Next movie, To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
When her secret love letters somehow get mailed to each of her 5 crushes, Laura Jean finds her quiet high school existence turned upside down.
Let's start with the good about To All the Boys. It is a very sweet and feel-good story. It's still cheesy, but like, if you enjoy cheesy things, then you will probably enjoy this movie. Like, it's cheesy, but it's sweet and it's good. It kind of has Disney kind of vibes. We have an Asian protagonist. I don't know if this was the first, but it feels like it was the first major Netflix teen movie to feature an Asian protagonist. I believe she's Korean American. Okay, so To All the Boys, something I really like about it, I appreciate about it, is that it has this very cutesy aesthetic. It's very stylized in how it looks. It has a very clear voice. You can see from also the cover, like the stationery. Again, the plot is interesting and fresh, and it has like twists and turns while still having, that classic teen movie feel. Let's move on to the bad. So it can feel overly cheesy. It depends what you consider as too bad, too cheesy. So Janelle Parrish is in this movie playing like the older sister, and she was in Pretty Little Liars when I was a teen. I'm 26 years old now. She could be like their mom, and she kind of looks like it, but this is a common criticism I have of Netflix movies, as you'll see throughout. The little sister in this movie, it's hard. Like, at times she's just too annoying and obnoxious. Again, Noah Centinio's there, and I just don't see the appeal, really, of him. Maybe in my teen years I would have. Overall, I give this movie an A because it is fresh, it is cute, it is teen, and you didn't know exactly how it's going to end, so it wasn't like as predictable as other teen movies can be. As far as suitable replacements, I don't really have any. I think this was a cute, unique story. It's also based on a book. Probably helps to start with a good foundation, though I think The Kissing Booth might have been a book. I don't know, but this was a good book, I feel like. I didn't read it, but it seems like it was good. Let's move on to the sequel. To All the Boys, P.S. I Love. No. To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You.
Her story began with 5 love letters. Now 3 hearts are on the line. Welcome to the next chapter of Laura Jean's life.
Wait, I feel like they spelled her name different in the other. I don't know if this description is legitimate. Sorry if it's not. Let's start with the good about this sequel. We have non-white protagonists again. Lana Condor, sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And Jordan Fisher is added to the cast, who he's been up and coming. He was from Hamilton, right? I didn't watch that. Sorry, I couldn't follow it. I'm sorry. And by non-white stars, I don't mean Noah Centineo. Once again, I'm mad at him for trying to exploit, I don't know, diversity casting or whatever. So I cut him out of the photo. A good thing about this franchise is it has a very stylized, beautiful aesthetic. It gave a little more focus and depth to this character, the villain girl, and it focused a little more on developing the friendship between her and Laura Jean. Oh, Blackpink's Kill This Love plays at a certain point in the cafeteria. I remember. And I like that song. Okay, let's move on to the bad about To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You. I found the plot a bit dull. This is the last scene. This is the last scene I remember before I fell asleep the first time I tried watching it. It's just hard with these teen movies where they already have the love interest, like the couple together. They're already like together in the sequel. Same with the Kissing Booth too. I feel like writers don't know what to do when they have teens that aren't looking for romance in a relationship. They always go towards this like new hot guy comes in and he's great and she's gonna choose the other guy anyway. So plot ends up kind of like dull and boring because you know they're gonna end up together. Like you know the new guy's not gonna steal this girl. But imagine the gag if that actually happened in a movie. That would be awesome. But whatever. No one's brave enough. So this is the main culprit of the glamorous senior home thing that I get so mad about. They spend a lot of time volunteering at the senior home, and it is just so glamorous, so luxurious. It's like a mansion resort. So over the top that it annoys me, frankly. Again, the protagonist being presented with a much better option for her, someone that she's more compatible with, someone that is better to her than her current relationship, yet she won't take him because he's not the guy from the first movie. Which is honestly a bad message for teens because it's like when you're a teen, you shouldn't be like dating to be with a person forever, really. You should be like knowing that your first relationship isn't necessarily your end all be all, and there could be better people out there. Another thing that kind of bugged me about this movie was that it revealed a lot of like backstory I didn't know. Like all of these characters knew each other and grew up together, and I didn't really understand that at the beginning that they did know each other. Like this scene was a very like they had buried this time capsule a long time ago. Maybe it's more clear in the book what their relationships are, but in the movie it was just it felt like sprung upon me. Oh, Maddie Ziegler pops in. I don't know why I put this in the bed. That's kind of shady, but like Maddie Ziegler from Dance Moms pops in and has one line. That was just so random. Like she's like trying to be an actress, so like they should have just given her a part or something. I don't know. My overall grade for this one is C. Any suitable replacements? Again, The Kissing Booth 2 to me has a very similar plot, sequel plot, but it's a worse version, so I don't even know. Next movie, The Perfect Date, starring Noah Centineo again.
To earn money for college, a high schooler launches an app offering his services as a fake date. But when real feelings emerge, things get complicated.
So, the good about The Perfect Date, you can watch the trailer of The Perfect Date and get everything you need to know about the movie. That saves a lot of time. You can spend just 3 minutes watching a trailer and you'll have everything you need to know. Camila Mendes is there. I don't see her that much in teen movies outside, or I don't see her much outside of Riverdale, so that's interesting to see her there. But they did, I feel like they over advertised her in this movie. Like, she did not have as big a part as I thought she would. Like, I thought she was going to be the female lead. Okay, let's get to the bad about The Perfect Date, because even the good things, if you notice, sounded like bad things. Okay, so the same point from the good. You can watch the trailer and get everything you need to know about this movie. That is not how movies should work. Movies should surprise you and develop characters in an hour and a half or whatever. I remember when it came out on Netflix, I watched the trailer, and then a week later or whatever, I watched the movie, and I was just like, I literally learned nothing new. So the protagonist is not likable. This Noah character, he is like the rise and grind type that, worships Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and, just wants that hustler thing. I do think at some point in the movie he like realizes being rich is more about like who you know and connections and things, but like he's just annoying. The girl protagonist, who I, based on the posters and all these things, I would think would be Camila Mendes from Riverdale. The actual girl protagonist, love interest to Noah Centineo, is this annoying girl who is like this wannabe edgy rich girl, and it's just like she's so obnoxious. Apparently, she's from some Disney Channel show called Austin and Ally. She's Ally, apparently. Wasn't a fan of her acting, and she was just obnoxious. Her character was obnoxious. So, this exchange sums it all up.
Wait, you're telling me that you would rather hang out at a cafe bookstore than go to a high school dance?
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
Like, I'm so revolutionary. My overall grade again for this one is a C. A suitable replacement for this kind of plot, I would say, is 10 Things I Hate About You. I would say if you want this kind of like fake dating for money kind of plot, 10 Things I Hate About You does it a lot better, has more characters, has more interesting dynamics. A teen movie I really love. Next movie, Sierra Burgess. Sierra Burgess is a loser.
A wrong number text sparks a virtual romance between a smart but unpopular teen and a sweet jock who thinks he's talking to a gorgeous cheerleader.
Let's start about the good about Sierra Burgess. Barb is the star, and Barb is alive. And it's also nice to see a star of one of these movies that is more relatable looking. Like, she's not stick skinny, she's nerdy. I think they try to go off a Barb mood board for this movie, but like, it's all very colorized, like vintagey, this yellow, like the colors in the poster, the colors in this screenshot. It's all like kind of stylized and has that color palette. Another thing that was interesting was that the villain, Mean Girl, was pretty complex and not just one dimensional. They end up building a relationship. Her mom and her, I feel like, look just like Abby Lee Miller and Maddie. Like, tell me these are not the same people. Whoever wrote these characters was a fan of Dance Moms. Okay, let's move on to the bad. The worst thing about this movie, I think, is the questionable message about catfishing. It feels like it doesn't get the consequences it deserves. I just feel like they kind of brushed over it. I remember the first time I watched this movie, I thought like the beginning 20 minutes and the end 20 minutes were strong, but like the middle just kind of dragged on. Her face explains my feelings towards the middle of this movie. Noah Centineo again is a star. I think after this we're done with him, so we're almost there. Despite all of its issues, I'll still grade it a B. It had some fresh things in it that I think people would find interesting. Okay, so a lot of these replacements end up being Hilary Duff movies. I apologize, but if you like the text romance situation, I would recommend A Cinderella Story. If you like the catfishing aspect, I would recommend Catfish. I would also recommend John Tucker Must Die for like that, like, combining forces to make a dateable person. Like, you'll get it if you've seen it, but John Tucker Must Die, I think, does this plot really well. Okay, next movie, Alex Strangelove.
High school senior Alex Truelove's plan to lose his virginity to lovable girlfriend Claire goes awry when he meets the equally lovable Elliot.
Let's start with the good about Alex Strangelove. It has a queer boy protagonist, which is rare in teen movies. He is discovering his sexuality throughout the movie, so I think only Love Assignment is the other mainstream movie with that like comedy teen movie, but stars a queer man. So you can't really see it in the photo because I just screenshotted it. They didn't show them very clearly, but a band called Muna shows up at a concert scene. Okay, let's move on to the bad about it. So it's just so much emphasis on sex and virginity when it's just like, you're in high school, just calm down. Like, it's not that big a deal. Just wait it out. I don't know. It's just like the whole premise his girlfriend and him trying to have sex and him kind of not being into it. Sorry, I'm being a prude again. I'm being a prude because I'm 26 and these are teens. This is one of the only movies I feel like that used a lot of CGI. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I think it used it as a tool to like show his psyche, but also it just used it in random parts like this, like some random guy taking drugs. It's just a little overdone for me. I thought the love interest looked like Ryan from High School Musical, and no shade to Ryan, but I feel like they could have cast someone cuter just based on like who these Netflix movies cast. I mean, I guess he is realistic, so I shouldn't blame them, but I feel like they could have cast like a really hot love interest for Elliot. Or no, his name's Elliot. For Alex, it's in the title. Oh, I sound like such a prude in this. It's just a lot of drugs for teens for my taste, but you know, to each their own. My overall grade for it is a B. I mean, I don't know. I've also seen critiques that it has some bi erasure, so I don't know if it's the best one, but it's nice to see like a new character that is discovering his sexuality. I would think a suitable replacement would be Love Simon. I haven't actually seen Love Simon, so I can't tell. I don't know if Love Simon or even Alex Strangelove speak to the gay coming out experience, so let me know in the comments if it is realistic to the experience. Another movie I put on here was Booksmart, which is a really great, well done movie that had a lot of parts that reminded me of Alex Strangelove, and you also have a queer protagonist in that one. Even though that is not as central to the storyline, it's a big part of her character. Okay, next movie, Work It. This one just came out recently.
A brilliant but clumsy high school senior vows to get into her late father's alma mater by transforming herself and a misfit squad into dance champions.
Let's start with the good about Work It. So the host of the circle is there. She's the college admissions counselor, Michelle Buteau. Well, you might not recognize her because on the circle, if you watched it, she was mostly a voiceover, but she was hilarious in her narration, and she did a great job in Work It as well. Okay, Jordan Fisher is back. It's great to see him more in the protagonist role rather than like the secondary man role. Okay, Liza Koshy's there, who I watched on YouTube way back when she was huge, and she seems to have gone into acting. I'm always happy for YouTubers that make it into mainstream media because sometimes they have a hard time. This was her YouTube channel. I don't know if you remember it. There was a Drag Race reference in this, which I hadn't seen in a teen movie yet. This guy says sashay away or something. Let's move on to the bad about Work It. The main personality trait of the protagonist, Sabrina Carpenter, is that she's clumsy. And I get it. I'm clumsy too. But it's such a 2000s Lizzie McGuire thing to make your protagonist so clumsy. Like, so clumsy. And they really, like, milked it in this movie. This was my main gripe for this movie. I think Sabrina Carpenter playing this super nerd disheveled loser girl like just does not sit right with me because she is hot and she is so beautiful, and it's just like they just messed up her hair a little bit and called it a day, and it's just like she's fake ugly. Like, I'm not buying it, and it takes me out of the fantasy. Okay, so there was this part where a team they're competing against like fucks up their score at the dance competition because one guy gets a boner, and I thought that was just a weird thing. I mean, I guess it was supposed to be funny, but it just made me uncomfortable. Like, you see a lot of boner. This one feels like a TV movie, like TV movie, in that it's so formulaic, so predictable, and so over the top, like nonsensical. Like the whole plot of the winning the dance competition for her to get into college, the way they did it was like very much a reach. She's reaching, Your Honor. Like, it just wasn't well fleshed out. Like, she was such a horrible dancer at the beginning and then she's good by the end. It's just like, it made no sense. I'm sorry. This was another culprit of the glamorous senior home that she works at, volunteers, whatever. This library, like, do senior homes really look like this? Like, comment below if you've been to a glamorous mansion senior home, because hey, sign me up for that kind of volunteering. Like, my overall grade for this one is a D, which is my category for like fun to criticize, but it's teetering on C as well. Like, it's not quite the most fun to criticize. For suitable replacements for this, there's two big ones that share a plot with this. That is Ice Princess which shares the plot of like a high school student trying to get into college by pushing herself into an artistic discipline, and I think it does that a lot better. And then another very similar plot is Pitch Perfect, which is like someone that's doesn't want to join this group, and it has more of that ensemble character thing that Work It tried to do as well, with like a lot of quirky characters. Pitch Perfect does more of that. These two movies, I think, sum up the plot of Work It and do it much, much better. Next movie, Let It Snow. I had not heard of this movie, so I watched it recently.
A snowstorm hits a small town on a cold Christmas Eve, affecting the friendships, love lives, and futures of several high school seniors.
So, good things about this movie: Joan Cusack and Darcy Carden are in the cast. I mostly know or love Joan Cusack for her role in School of Rock. She's done way more important things than that, but I really love her in that. And then Darcy Carden is on The Good Place. She's a comedian, actress, also on Broad City. So the main great thing about this movie, I think, is the Christmas vibes, and that's really nice. I love Christmas. This is one of those movie plots that is like He's Just Not That Into You or Valentine's Day, or that have like a bunch of characters and a bunch of little plots all throughout the movie. Like a lot of protagonists, not one clear protagonist. They all kind of converge at the end. Sabrina's there, from the Netflix Sabrina. Anna Akana is a part of the cast, who was a YouTuber way back when I was a teen. And that one girl from Lady Bird, who is just so gorgeous. She played a very different character in this movie than her role in Lady Bird. Let's move on to the bad about Let Us Know. I think Joan Cusack and Darcy Carden, who I was excited to see in the intro sequence, they were not in it enough for my taste. Sabrina, I don't know her character's name in this movie, but I just call her Sabrina. Kiernan Ship, I don't know her name, but the blonde girl, her storyline was not very fleshed out, and it was very cliche. It was very like her best friend is in love with her and trying to tell her, I think, throughout the movie, and she's just kind of oblivious, or I don't know what she is. Every time they were on screen, I was just so bored. Like, this is like the oldest cliche, so you gotta like add something to spice it up. So Anna Kana, again, I know I'm always bringing up this point. She's not a teen, and it's not saying she looks old, but like it's just funny to see people that I watched when I was a teen 10 years ago still being in teen movies, kind of. But we'll get to more of those culprits. This was my main gripe about this movie, and it started out really strong actually. It started off with Joan Cusack narrating, who has a very distinct voice, so I was just like, wow, this movie is going to be good. But then it ended, when they all converge, all the plot lines, all the characters converge at the end, there were no real twists or surprises. Usually in these types of movies with like these huge casts, usually at the end you find out, oh, that guy was that girl's sister the whole time, or like, oh, she was gay the whole time. Like, you see how the plots like relate to each other in a different way than you thought, and it didn't really have any surprises like that. In general, I gave it a C plus. It would be a C if it didn't have the Christmas energy, because the Christmas thing really helps, like, ooh, feel like it's such a cozy movie. Again, suitable replacements for this are those movies with huge casts like Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve. Next movie, Tall Girl. This one's one of the weirdest, randomest ones.
After years of slouching through life, 6'1" teen Jody resolves to conquer her insecurities and gets caught up in a high school love triangle.
The good about Tall Girl is that it opens with Make Me Feel by Janelle Monáe. I don't know how they got the rights to that, but good for them, I guess. The protagonist of Tall Girl was actually on Dance Moms. I remember her. She was a small character, and the mom I always thought was fair. I liked her, okay. Angela Kinsey from The Office is playing a rich white mom, and she's doing it on Netflix several times. She was on Never Have I Ever as well, playing the same kind of like rich suburban white lady. Earlier I was hating on Sabrina Carpenter in Work It because she was so like I didn't like the casting of that, because she was playing this nerd loser character that didn't make sense. In this movie, she is playing pageant queen, and I think that really, really fits her a lot better, fits her acting a lot better, fits her facial expressions. Let's move on to the bad about Tall Girl. I think the main issue with this movie that most people will criticize it for as well, being tall is not a struggle that is like this real. Like it's like she's acting like she's oppressed for being tall, like so oppressed. Like she's just tall. Like because of that, she has all these career opportunities she can go into. She can go into modeling. She can go into basketball or volleyball. You know, like us short people, we can't do all that. Because this is the being tall thing is not a struggle, it just becomes a very like flat teen movie plot. The hot guy, he looks so old for her. It reminds me of like Paolo and Isabella. Because being tall is not an actual struggle, like the bullying she gets is just like people being like, how's the weather up there? Comment below if you've been bullied for being tall, if you're a tall person. Like, is it an oppression? Really? I actually wouldn't know. But I don't think it is because what do you make fun of them for? There's not much. Overall, again, this is another C. Suitable replacements for it. I was mentioning the guy looked like Paolo from Lizzie McGuire movie. I'm just trying to shoehorn it in somewhere. Yes, I'm a big fan of Hilary Duff. An actual, I think, suitable replacement for this movie that is better is 8th Grade, which is more about like that average girl struggle without making up an oppression for her. Okay, next movie. Hashtag reality high.
High achieving high school senior Danny Barnes dreams of getting into UC Davis, the world's top veterinary school. Then a glamorous new friend draws her into a Southern California scene that threatens everything she worked for.
So the good things about hashtag reality high, it has non-white protagonists, and even though the villain is white, she has an accent, which you don't see that often in teen movies actually. So this one broke the glamorous volunteering set and actually depicted like the vet office the protagonist works at in a more realistic way. This one used a lot of colored lighting and it was really cute. It was a lot of these diner scenes. So this movie had a lot of potential, I think, to comment on social media. As the description mentioned, the protagonist sort of gets wrapped up with this influencer who is trying to like actually knock her down. It's kind of confusing. But it had a lot of potential to like comment on influencer culture. I don't think it was super successful. So let's move on to the bad about hashtag reality high. So the plot is really different, which sometimes felt like good. Like I didn't know, it wasn't super predictable, but it was also like kind of not engaging. So like it was easy to lose focus with it. And I think it's because the protagonist gets the guy she wants like kind of early in the movie, so it's like we're kind of confused teen movie wise, like where do we go from here? I think this movie also like it had a really likable protagonist. I really liked her. I think she needed a little more development at the beginning to like fall in love with her further. Like she was really likable, and I was missing some just scenes of her like being herself at the beginning of the movie. It's just not a very accurate portrayal of influencers, and I think that happens when writers are, you know, not familiar with the internet as much, and the villain influencer girl becomes very much a caricature that is not very complex at all. To elaborate on that point, like, I feel like people who get the internet are not necessarily in writers' rooms at Netflix making teen movies, and I really wish they were because I would love a teen movie from like someone that really gets the internet. I mean, just having hashtag in the title of this movie is like, it's cringy. Cringy is the right word. So my general grade again is another C, and there's a lot of C's. I would say a suitable replacement, like the best one is probably Easy A. It has a similar journey, I feel like, but more just like well thought out. And then another classic is Mean Girls. You know, you see the protagonist change from like loser to like popular. Okay, next movie. Oh god, not Dude. Oh my god, Dude. Okay, Dude. So I had never heard of this movie. I saw it recently for this video. I wish I had never heard of this movie, but okay. So the premise.
Four best friends navigate loss and major life changes and smoke a lot of weed during their last 2 weeks of high school.
Okay, that really, really sums up the movie. Let's try to find something good. Okay, Garrett from Superstore shows up, but it is as a cop, so definitely minus points for that. Okay, so there is this dramatic fight that is so hilarious, and it it ends in like it's a mom and Lucy Hale, the protagonist, having a fight, and at the end of it, the mom is like, "Now learn your lesson and smash your bong."
You don't know shit. Now learn your lesson and smash your bong.
The delivery is just everything. It's hilarious. It's like, what kind of cool mom is this that just like knows about your bong? This is like a female directed film, and it has that very like empowered women characters that are more nuanced and have like sexually empowered, and they're partying and they're not ashamed if they are. So like it has that those kind of like raunchy female characters that are more like relatable or more confident than you see typically in teen movies. Disclaimer on the bad about Dude. I feel like I could make a whole video on this movie because this one was so bad. Let me know if you want an in-depth video on any of these movies. I guess this isn't bad, but it took me off guard because it is a teen movie. But it is very, very, very mature. It would be rated R. You see Lucy Hale fully nude and having sex with Alex Wolff, no less. If you don't know who this is, I don't know if anyone watched this show. It feels like a fever dream, but it was a Naked Brothers band on Nickelodeon, and it was like kind of reality, kind of documentary, but kind of fake at the same time. It was confusing, but it's the little brother that starred in that show is this guy having sex with Lucy Hale. You see Lucy Hale's full boobs out, like it is porn. Lucy Hale and Austin Butler are in this movie, and they have been playing teens since I was a preteen, like less than a teen. I am 26 years old, and Lucy Hale was there in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants too when I was in middle school, probably, when she was an actual teen. And then she starred in Pretty Little Liars for like 7 years. I was a teen at the beginning of Pretty Little Liars, and then I was not a teen by the time it ended. And then Austin Butler, too, who was in Zoe 101, which I watched as a preteen and teen. He's in this movie as well, playing a teen. I think this is my main issue with this movie. This group of friends, they smoke weed 24/7, which is just an unrealistic level for teens in high school. And these aren't even like stoner, like non try hard teens in school. Like Lucy Hale is class president of her school and like a student and all these things. They are hotboxing in the car on their way to high school. The audacity to like hotbox in your high school parking lot with people walking around. And then they were fully functioning all day at school after like smoking and taking drugs. It's just like it made no sense. Like it's fine to have teens doing drugs, but like, have them feel the effects or have consequences for it. This is another super annoying thing about this movie, and it was the overuse of the word fuck, which I think is something like edgy filmmakers try to do. Every other fucking word. This is all one scene.
Well, fuck! 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 Fuck!
That's the mom. You want to throw the fucks around? I'll throw the fucks around. Stop relying on that fuck. Another issue I had with this movie, I went through quite a journey with this movie of like figuring out what time period it was set in. So one of the girls has like this eyeliner that looks very 2000s, and then I'm just like, okay, I wonder if this is set in the 2000s. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's recent. And then I see a taxi, and I'm like, okay, that's definitely the 2000s. And then I see an iPhone, and then I'm like, oh, it's not the 2000s. She has a freaking iPhone. So my overall grade for this movie is a D. I think suitable replacements for it. The beginning really reminded me of Raise Your Voice. If you've seen it, you'll know why. I didn't actually see Spring Breakers, but if you're looking for like teen stars being raunchy, I think that's a good option. I don't really know. I think Lady Bird is a great like female directed film that shows a very realistic protagonist who is like flawed, but like not overdoing it to the point where it's just like she says fuck every other fucking word. Now we're at our final movie, and that is The Half of It.
She's a gifted introvert. He's a sweet jock. Both are smitten with the same girl. Friendships and first loves can be complicated.
Let's start with the good about The Half of It. We have a queer and Asian protagonist. That's really great representation, and she's very believable. I really like this actress. Okay, so this movie, out of all of them, has the most like indie and artsy style and feel to it. Like, it feels very like someone that likes films would maybe like this movie just because of the style of it. And it has very like complex and realistic characters, like from our main protagonist girl, who's usually the one they develop the most in these movies, the jock guy, the popular girl. They all have like more complicated backstories, and we see their home life and how it differs, which you don't get with a lot of these teen movies. It's a familiar plot that this movie has, but it has the fresh angle of having a queer protagonist, and I think that really helped it freshen up the story and not we don't know where it's going to end up. Okay, let's move on to the bad from the half of it. I think this movie would be a lot more enjoyable if you are an English or literature type nerd or philosophy. I don't even know. They put in a lot of quotes and references that I just don't get, and if you're not into that world, you probably won't get. The plot isn't the most memorable ever. I remember certain scenes that stick out to me, but like it's not super impactful, or it wasn't for me, and it might just be the gray tone of the movie, which I don't respond well to. The town name is Squamish. I don't know if that's a real town, but it took me forever in the movie to like figure out what that word meant. I don't know. I think they make a lot of jokes with it or something. Oh, the main protagonist cheats in school and it's scandalous. So I don't know if it's promoting it. I'm just reaching here because it's one of the better movies on this list. My overall grade for it is actually an A. Honestly, the bad stuff wasn't that big a deal. I don't have any suitable replacements. I seem to not have great replacements for the A ones because they're pretty good and they're worth a watch, in my opinion. Let's move on to the final ranking.
Number 1 is The Half of It. Number 2 is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Number 3 is Alex Strangelove. Number 4 is Sierra Burgess is a Loser. Number 5 is Let It Snow. Number 6 is To All the Boys. P.S. I Still Love You, the second one. Number 7 is The Perfect Date. Number 8 is Tall Girl. Number 9 is Hashtag Reality High. Number 10 is Work It. Number 11 is The Kissing Booth. Number 12 is Dude. And number 13 is The Kissing Booth 2.
So I think I did a pretty good job of grading on a curve here. There's only one F, and I'm kind of surprised by that, but honestly, the movies in the D category are really fun to criticize, and those are some of my favorites just because they are so horrible that they're fun to watch and even fun to rewatch. The stuff in the C category, I don't really want to rewatch. They're movies that I watched once and may have enjoyed in the moment to pass time, but like there's nothing I would want to rewatch about it. The B ones have some things that are rewatchable, but also I'm not the most excited to rewatch, but I sort of remember more things about them than things in the C category. And then the A ones are ones that really were impactful, they were really great, or I would recommend them to friends. For me, the A and D categories are the most important. Let me know if you agree with my ranking. Let me know if I missed anything and if I should do a part 2 or maybe do other Netflix type series or movies. So let me know what you think and let me know if I should deep dive into any of these further. Thank you for watching and make sure to like and subscribe.